Welcome back to Beyond the Feed. You're not here for watered-down headlines or safe opinions. You're here for the stories that get buried, the text messages they hope never leak, and the power plays they swear are just conspiracy theories. Tonight, we're stepping into the heart of the Civil War inside. Turning Point USA, Candace Owens says the legal letters are real, the threats are real, and the firings are real, and if she's right, then what's happening behind the scenes of America's most famous conservative youth movement is darker than anything they've ever put on stage. So get comfortable, turn the volume up, and watch to the end before you decide who's lying. This is the Erika Kirk era, the Charlie Kirk fallout, and the story TPUSA does not want you to tell. Imagine your boss gets assassinated. It's a tragedy that shocks the nation and rocks your organization to its core. Your company then raises hundreds of millions of dollars off the grief and public sympathy. You and your colleagues work tirelessly, putting in endless hours to keep things running, to honor your fallen leader's legacy. Then, out of nowhere, people just like you start getting fired, one by one, with no explanation. Lawyers are on the phone. Security is waiting at the door. You're just told, we're going in a different direction. No reason! No warning! You're just gone. That is the world, Candace Owens says Turning Point USA employees are living in right now. In her explosive episode titled Erika's Inquisition, TPUSA Employees Fired For What? She lays out a story that sounds less like a conservative nonprofit and more like a paranoid cult, one running on fear, money, and intense loyalty tests, all in the shadow of Charlie Kirk's death. And according to her, this spiral all started with a text message. A message that reads less like donor feedback and more like a curse. According to Candace, the trouble began brewing when Charlie started allowing conversations on his platform that touched on sensitive topics like Israel, Gaza, and Jeffrey Epstein. This apparently didn't sit well with everyone. A prominent Christian Zionist donor allegedly sent Charlie a long, chilling text message quoting scripture about God, blessing those who bless Israel and cursing those who don't. The message warned that God was lifting his hand from Charlie because of the people he was platforming. Candace reads this not as a gentle spiritual warning, but as a thinly veiled threat wrapped in Bible verses. She frames it as the opening shot in a high-stakes pressure campaign, a battle over who is allowed to speak and what is allowed to be questioned inside the conservative movement. From there, Candace shifts her focus to the people now closest to power. Charlie's widow and the current CEO of TPUSA, Erika Kirk, and her family. This is where the story takes a truly bizarre turn. Candace points to a mysterious company called Spirit Tech LLC. This company was set up back in 2017 on tribal land in Arizona. It reportedly includes Erika's mom, Lori, her husband, Larry, and a guy named Lyle Rees. The name Lyle Rees is significant because, as Candace highlights, he was indicted in 1998 over alleged sexual conduct with a minor. The details get even stranger. Candace notes that the physical address listed for this company doesn't seem to exist on any standard maps. And the required public notice about the business wasn't placed in a local newspaper where neighbors or donors might see it. Instead, it was published in a little-known Chinese-language newspaper in Arizona. Candace openly questions what this company really does, why it's structured in such a secretive way. And more importantly, why someone with that kind of a controversial legal background is anywhere near the orbit of a major political organization focused on young people. It's a web of connections that raises far more questions than answers. But the heart of her episode, the emotional core of her argument, is what she calls an internal purge happening right now inside TPUSA. Now, legally, Arizona is an at-will employment state. That means an employer can fire an employee for almost any reason or no reason at all. Candace's argument isn't about the legality, it's about the morality. Is it right? She asks. To fire loyal employees who just worked overtime through the traumatic assassination of their founder, all while the organization is reportedly bringing in enormous sums of money. She shares gut-wrenching accounts from staffers who say they were interrogated, not about their job performance, but about their personal loyalty to Erika Kirk. They were then let go with no clear explanation. Some of these firings allegedly happened right after major successful events like AmFest, where these employees thought they had performed exceptionally well. In one particularly chilling story, she describes a general counsel allegedly showing up at an employee's house in person to inform her that she was fired. The lawyer then insisted she immediately hand over her work laptop right there on the spot. In another case, a young woman walks into what she thinks is a positive performance review, only to find out she's being terminated. When she asks why, she's given that same cold, corporate line: the company is going in a different direction. No further details. Candace even raises the disturbing possibility that there could be monitoring or spyware on company-issued devices. She doesn't present hard, technical proof, but she points to a pattern. Private comments or text messages expressing dislike for the new leadership seem to be followed almost immediately by sudden firings. And to make sure you don't think this is just hearsay, she doesn't just tell these stories, she plays a video recording of an actual firing call. On the recording, you can hear a lawyer calmly and coldly telling an employee her job is over. The employee sounds confused, asking for a reason. Any reason at all. The lawyer refuses to provide any details, while security reportedly waits nearby. That video clip, combined with the larger pattern of people suddenly disappearing from the organization after being questioned about gossip and loyalty, is what Candace uses to build her case. She paints a picture of TPUSA under Erika Kirk running less like a workplace and more like a paranoid Inquisition. Candace also brings up a Zoom call held by Erika just days after Charlie's assassination. On the call, staff were told they could take time away to grieve, to step back if they needed to. On the surface, that sounds like a compassionate and understanding gesture from a leader. But according to some of the accounts Candace cites, employees found it strange and disconnected. They say Erika herself was reportedly in the office every single day, pushing forward relentlessly, while simultaneously telling everyone else it was okay to just vanish for a while. This disconnect fed into a growing narrative that this wasn't just about managing grief, it was about consolidating power, and quickly figuring out who belonged in the new regime and who didn't. By the end of the episode, Candace isn't pulling any punches. She's calling it a witch trial with everything happening at TPUSA right now. It's wild. Employees being pulled into meetings based on rumors, grilled about whether they support Erika, and then unceremoniously cut loose without any transparency or explanation. She reveals that the organization has already sent her legal letters, presumably in an attempt to shut her up. But she keeps doubling down, insisting that she has multiple first-person sources backing up everything she's sharing. Even as critics accuse her of just stirring up drama and pushing unproven theories about Charlie's death, what we're left with is a deeply troubling picture of a movement that raised enormous sums of money off the death of its founder and is now, allegedly, tearing itself apart from the inside. We have a widow-turned CEO trying to run the show, family members tied to a bizarre LLC on tribal land with a controversial partner, powerful donors whose messages sound like spiritual threats, and young employees who claim they were abused, and then discarded the moment they stopped projecting perfect, unquestioning loyalty. Whether you see Candace Owens as a brave whistleblower exposing a corrupt inner circle, or as a reckless bomb thrower making a terrible situation even worse, one thing is absolutely clear. The story of Turning Point USA after Charlie Kirk is no longer just about campus activism. It's a raw, high-stakes drama about power, fear, and the battle to control the narrative when the leader is gone. Thanks for watching! Let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives that go beyond the feed.